So I'm Maya, and I'm an artist and technologist, and currently I'm in residency at the Google Creative Lab. So that is my main daytime job, but I am also a very enthusiastic but non-professional dancer on the side, and I've been dancing since like 6th grade, and that's also something I really love to do. So for a really long time in my life, dance and art, which I was very into, but was very separate from science and technology, which I was also really into at the same time. But there were kind of these parallel paths that exist for me, and there wasn't much overlap between those two things. But then I discovered that there was this entire world of creative technology where people were pulling from their own multidisciplinary lifestyles and taking different things like dance and art and combining that with their knowledge of science and technology and being able to use that to make things that excited them and kind of combined all their different enthusiasms. And that was a real breakthrough for me because for so much of my life, it looked like this. But finally, I was able to see how these things could be fused and actually all be in a single form. So, what I'm talking about today is things that move me. And I kind of mean this in a couple different senses. One, a lot of my work, because I come from a dance background, involves movement and technology. So this is actually a piece I did for a design typography project where my professor asked if we could take a 4-letter word and then render that with some sort of other material and take a photo of it. And I was really interested because I thought, okay, move is such an important word to me, so how can I take that and then make it something that would come to life? So this is actually a processing sketch that I built with the OpenCV library, which is the computer vision library. But I'm going to talk first about a couple projects that I've done that involve movement and technology, because that's kind of the intersection at which I really like to work. I'm going to start by showing you this first project. This is called Be a Body. I'm going to play in a second, but something I was really interested in for a long time, I got really into graphic music visualization. You can program, you feed the music through a program and it's responding visually, and it was really satisfying to me as a dancer because I kind of felt like when there's a really good piece of choreography and it's just sitting in the music really well, that's the feeling I got when I watched this graphic music visualization happening that I was able to program. But then I started thinking about it and I realized that for me, dance was a form of human music visualization. And I was curious how I could combine those two things and see them exist in harmony using both my technical skills as well as my dance background. So, just play.
Special when we're alone. My heart is not tempted to roam. The trouble comes when I tire of endless happiness. Swinging down my defenses, and I become reckless and restless in the growing light. Feel like you could do this by yourself. Or be a body if it helps. Feel like you could do this by yourself. Or be a body if it helps. Interview, it's nice to know you.
So when I was working on this project, I was really interested in how I could augment my own movement in a way that I couldn't do without using technology or without me existing on the screen in front of me. And so I actually programmed all these different music visualizations using processing, and they are all responding to the music, but you can also tell that they're also responding to my body and the way that I'm moving. And I was interested in this harmony, how these two things would manifest on the screen together. And then I was dancing live in front of my computer, and I was watching the screen as all of these things were happening. So it was kind of this whole ecosystem where I'm responding to what I see on screen, and what's on screen is also responding to me. And this was really exciting because this was the first project that I ever did where I really realized that I could combine what I loved about dance with what I also loved about technology and programming, and that gratification of being able to, code up some sort of visualization and then see it happening on the screen. So that was something that really drew me to creative tech, because now I could fuse all these different things that I was interested in into single pieces or explorations at one time. And so I got really interested in doing things with the body and thinking about what can be done with dance using code that I couldn't do in normal, real, the offline world. And so this is a piece that is called Paint Me in Pixels So I Can Dance Forever. And in this I was really interested in, when I watch someone dance or even take a video of myself dancing, all the movement is really ephemeral. It only lasts for a second, you only see it in that moment, but you still have this feeling of every movement feeding into the next. And I wanted to create something that explored movement history and how you could maintain your movement on the screen and kind of let it linger and layer. And so I created this sketch, which actually just follows my form and draws this contour over and over and over, and it's layered on top of each other. So you get this sense of, you see me currently moving and currently dancing as you would if you're just watching a dancer in real life, but you also get this sense of every place on the screen or in space that I've been before that. And that was really interesting to me because but with the title Paint Me in Pixels So I Can Dance Forever, it's this medium that kind of exists completely outside of the way that we perceive dance in real life, and you can manipulate it, and you lose my, it's an anonymous figure, you lose that sense and you lose this 3D sense of space, but you also are able to gain something new and see something that you aren't able to see when you're watching a dancer off screen or in real life. And then this piece actually recently was up in Times Square for Decode Experiential, and they curated a bunch of new media artists to show their work. But this was really exciting because I had made this piece just for fun, because I would spend a lot of time doing these mini code sketches in my free time. But it was exciting that when they reached out to me to be part of this curation, that I was able to actually share it with more people. Before it was something that kind of just only lived on my computer. So.
Well done.
So I'm very interested in movement and the body, but I'm also really interested beyond that in our physical relationship to our screen. And so I started this past year working at the Google Creative Lab, and I started getting obsessed with this, concept of how much we look at our screens all day. And that feeling when someone's staring at you for a really long time, but you're not looking back, and it's really awkward. So I realized that was how my computer felt all the time, because I spent 8 hours plus a day staring at my computer, and it didn't ever get a chance to look back at me. So I wanted to kind of give it a chance to engage. So I created this Chrome extension that's called Glance Back. And thinking that, your computer kind of deserves a chance to glance back at you. So So basically, once a day at random, when you open a new tab, if you have this Chrome extension, it'll immediately take a photo of you, like super fast. You have no time to like fix your hair and look cute. This just happens really quick. And then it says, what are you thinking about? And you know, it really disrupts the relationship that I usually have with my screen. You know, it's usually this window into this other world. And so hypnotic, I'll get lost in it for hours. But whenever this triggers, it really forces me to literally look at myself and how I look in the physical world now and think about, you know, what am I thinking about? And then I'm able to create this whole log, and it's this daily diary of all these photos of me just looking blankly at my screen, but also these, you know, these snippets of thoughts that would have been totally lost otherwise. You know, I'm never really logging or writing those down, but now, even when I go back through, I've been doing this for like 6 months now, even when I go back through, I very clearly remember each moment that I was searching, whatever I was searching or whatever I was thinking about and why I was thinking about it. So I also really like it because it's kind of this passive form of documentation. And I've always been really interested in personal documentation, but I'll often say, okay, I'm gonna write, you know, once a day or do this once a week, but it's easy to fall off. But I'm on my computer every day and this happens automatically. So it's really nice because now I've accumulated this whole log of photos of me looking at my screen. And I publicly released it, so if you want to also have bad photos of yourself looking at your computer, you can go to glensmax.info. And the last project I want to talk about is this project I recently did at the Google Creative Lab with this amazing, iconic American dancer, choreographer, and director, Bill T. Jones. And we were really interested in how Bill T. Jones would want to use PoseNet, which is this new machine learning model that does pose estimation, which basically means that it's able to, just from an image, detect where key points are on your body. Like it'll guess where your eye is or where your elbow is. And this is really exciting, especially from a dance perspective. The first 2 projects I showed that involve dance all used a Connect, which is a special piece of hardware that is, you know, expensive, or you really have to seek it out. And to do even more precise, you know, analysis of the body as a dancer, you would have to do something like wear sensors or do mocap, which can be really complicated and kind of takes a lot of production. But PoseNet is exciting because it actually completely runs in your browser. And so it makes making this kind of work with dance super accessible. And I'm just gonna play the first bit.
I come in today as a dancing human. My collaborator is a machine that doesn't really know what a dancing human is.
So this project came about, and I guess it's so much more of an experiment than a project, because we don't know what is about to happen here or what we're gonna get out of this. But, you know, we wanted to see what would happen when you put someone like Bill, a National Medal of the Arts honoree, a MacArthur Fellow, a 2-time Tony winner. What happens when you put a technology like PoseNet in the hands of an artist of that caliber?
When I think about Bill, he is a giant among us. He changed everything that we know around modern dance, around the braiding together of dance and political speech, and not in a traditional way, but in a way that turned everything upside down.
PoseNet is a machine learning model that estimates where key points are on your body, like where your elbow is, for example. What's exciting is we took this huge machine learning model and made it lightweight enough to run in your browser, which means that no images ever leave your machine. You can use it anywhere you want, in a dance studio, in your living room, and also you don't need to wear any special sensors or use any special hardware. It's all totally on your computer. With these workshops, we just want to explore if there is a way that you feel like your movement could plug in.
And we're with you. My whole life has been about trying to treat the body like a photographic image. That's something I borrowed from Arnie Zane and something we borrowed from independent cinema in the late 60s and 70s.
Right.
It's even in the name of the thing, PoseNet, right?
Yeah.
It's about poses, you know,
Yeah.
as opposed to... Good morning. The test was as I expected. We're now just doing rhythm. I don't know why to my mind, they're very different movers, but they all look the same.
Right.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Is there a way to tell the dots that each one has to have another word?
We could have it go word, 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 word as
Yes.
the full sentence, yeah.
And then it would have that movement that we were talking about.
Yeah.
I like this.
The tools she were using were so simple and basic, but it was her embodiment of them.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at with the
Yeah.
dot on Christina's nose.
Yeah.
How do you get that to be weighted with meaning and import?
Let the tools teach us and open our minds and have a dialogue that way. I think that's an important thing too.
Maybe it's ego, that I want to be the one to know how to make those dots make somebody cry.
It's a long video. If you want to watch the rest, it's on YouTube. But this was a really interesting process for me as a technologist because I'm really used to being in an environment like this. You know, where a lot of people are coming from backgrounds who are already interested in technology and already engaged and have this curiosity where they feel like they want to learn more about it. And Bill is coming from an era where, as an he is such a legendary artist that the central question for him was really, what did he want from the technology? What could it give him that would actually be useful or meaningful? He didn't really care about the technicalities of it. He was really interested in how could he make something that actually feels, like he said in the video, you know, is weighted with meaning and import, and how can he make those dots make somebody cry? And so you saw at the beginning, what you saw is the very first workshop that we had together, but eventually we created this collection of experiments. This is one that we called Manifesto. And you can see even at the beginning there was that trail of dots in the video, and that kind of turned into this. Bill is a really famous improviser with language and speech, and he was really interested in how that could tie in with the movement of his dancers. And so we used the speech-to-text web API, as well as PostNet, and we're able to create these. They're all online, these experiments that anyone can use to kind of say their story aloud and then trail this sentence behind them. And also, something that we discovered was at the beginning, there was this whole collection of prototypes that all, you know, had a colored background and then had this PostNet skeleton on top. But what we really ended up realizing throughout the process, what was missing, it was the human dancer. It was seeing that person be moving and practicing their craft actually on the screen. And so we landed in this place where we were able to see the dancer, and the technology actually plays a really subtle role. And it's almost like a digital prop, and it's just slightly adding to his movement and also determining the types of movement that he does. But working with Bill, this is another one called Hold That Thought, where you're able to speak and then manipulate the words with your hands. But working with Bill really showed me that what was important to him as an artist and working with this kind of technology is not so much what the technology is doing, but what it can convey, and using that as an instrument. And so that was really exciting, and I think he feels, now coming from the place where we started to where we got to, he felt really good about that, process and landing at a place where the technology just kind of became more and more subtle in the prototypes we were making. And then I wrote a write-up about it to talk about this concept of, letting the technology kind of take a back seat to whatever meaning you're trying to convey. And this central question has been on my mind ever since working with him, the question of what do you want from it, what do you want it to convey? And so as an artist, I think that's the way that I like to use technology, is as a tool or an instrument to tell a story or to talk about things that I care about, rather than a means to an end in itself. And then I also open sourced a lot of PostNet sketches, so if you're interested in getting started with playing around with this type of technology, you can also find this on GitHub. But I wanna wrap up by talking about things that moved me, in a different way. All of these projects were things that I was really moved to create and really excited about, because I love to make things, and I always, I would have an idea, and a lot of them involve movement, and so I was excited to play around with those and bring those to life. But there are a lot of things about this community specifically, which is where I got my start in the creative tech world, that really moved me in more of an emotional sense, because people really care about each other and everyone's excited about helping each other to learn more about creative technology. And so I'm just gonna share a few screenshots from the internet, my favorite place to, to highlight this. So the first thing I want to talk about is codes of conduct. These are three. This is from Payne Choi's Distributed Web of Care. The top is from IO, and then this is the P5JS code of conduct. But this is something that I remember I came to my first P5JS conference 5 years ago, and it was run by Lauren McCarthy. And I'd been interested in computer science for a little while by that point and kind of into the tech world and seeing what it was all about. But I remember she really prioritized making a community statement as part of the conference. And it wasn't just something that was, mentioned at the beginning and then kind of tucked away. It was something that we all together, every participant in the conference, sat down and worked on together. And that was this amazing moment for me because I hadn't really ever seen that in the realm of technology where someone was making this such a huge priority that everyone involved was going to stop what they were doing and talk about this. And I just want to highlight these hashtags, no code snobs because we value community over efficiency, New Kid Love because we all started somewhere, Unassumed Core because we don't assume knowledge, and Black Lives Matter because of course. And this was so exciting that in this tech world, I could see that there was space for thinking about this aspect of the way that we interact with each other. And that's something I've really appreciated throughout being involved in the technology community are the people who are really thoughtful about this and prioritize, the culture that they're creating and making sure that it's a safe and open place to everybody. I also love how friendly a lot of the tech tools feel in the creative code community. These are just some of my favorites, but there's lots out there. That's ML5, which is a machine learning library for the web, P5JS, Glitch, which I like to describe as like YouTube for developers, kind of. This is Bubble Sort Zines, and she's this woman who makes these really amazing, fun zines that talk about computer science concepts, but in a really fun way. And like the aesthetics are, super classically girly. It's just something I don't usually see in technology, but immediately when I go to these tools or these places on the internet, I feel like they're so welcoming to me, and they're wrapped up in aesthetics that I can understand and feel comfortable in. And that's also something that's important. And also, of course, Dan's videos also, he's done an amazing job of making sure all his videos don't assume previous knowledge, making sure everyone has a place to go to really start from the beginning, and also they just feel so super friendly whenever I go to them, and it makes me really happy to see that space because I think in technology in the past I've run into places that feel unwelcoming to all different sets of people or like too intimidating to get into, and so I really appreciate that these tools and these people are making space for beginners or people who are just starting out, as well as people who are more advanced in the community. Also, open sourcing code. This is just one example. Many people open source code, which basically means that you just put it online for other people to access so they can download it and run it or remix it or do whatever they want with it. But this is Charlotte Stiles. She's a media artist that I really admire, but she made this funny little sketch that's, you grab the cursor pointer and it looks like you're dragging your nails on a screen. And it was super popular, everyone loved it, but she also put it up on Glitch, and she said, hey, you can see the code and you're able to remix it. So all these people who really liked it were then able to access it and take it and make something else. And that's also something that I really appreciate in the world of tech, when you're able to kind of hand what you've done to other people to help them grow as well. Also, people sharing stuff that they've made. This is my friend Isaac, and he makes all these really cool pen plots. It's just basically when you're able to make an illustration with a computer, and then you can tell this machine that has a pen in it to draw it on a piece of paper. And there are these really beautiful renderings of these illustrations. But a few weeks ago, during the when reproductive rights were a threat in Alabama, and currently are in the entire country, he put this up on Instagram saying, if you donate over $100 to the ACLU, or for reproductive rights, or the Yellow Hammer Fund, which is an Alabama-based organization, he would mail a pen plot that he'd made. So it really makes me happy to see people putting out the types of things that they make, and also, for good causes, and using their platform to raise awareness about things that are happening in the world, and contextualizing their work in that way too. And these are just a few more examples of artists that I really love and admire, putting out their work for good causes, or really advertising, not advertising, but really being public about the things that they care about and the things that they love. And I really admire that too, because I think it takes a lot of courage to be able to put yourself out there online like that, especially with things that you make, because they can feel really precious. And even with something as simple as, this is my friend Khalil, but even something as simple as, he has all these plants growing, and it just makes me really happy to see him being able to, put something that he has made and worked on for a long time out there for other people to enjoy. And also, a culture of support is something that I have found in this community to be one of the best things about it, because everyone really cares for each other and constantly wants to build each other up. This is an amazing screenshot because these are, Nicole P is a woman, all three of these women are women I work with. But you can see Irene was giving a talk, and Jane's, talking about, saying that she's amazing and going to see the talk, and Nicole's retweeting it, and I just really appreciate these people supporting each other in this realm and, acknowledging that they admire each other's work. And also Taeyun Choi, who has such an incredible platform as an artist in this space, but he not only uses the platform for his own work and own thinkings, but he also uses his platform to, lift up other artists that he admires and whose work that is important to him. And I really admire that as well, because it's a wonderful example of having space to show your own work, but also using your platform to elevate other people's voices who are doing amazing work in the same space that just might not have the same opportunities. And this last thing is, I contributed to ML5 a few months ago, and for me, contributing to open source communities is very new to me. And I remember when I started out, even though everyone was like, "Oh, it's so great! Like you can just contribute," it was really intimidating for me. And it was kind of like, I'm not sure what I'm doing. Am I making a pull request right? All these different things. I was really nervous about. And sometimes when you go through these old GitHub forums or issues, you can see some kind of nasty comments. People that are like, really like uppity about their code, or if you didn't do something right, it can feel pretty scary because of that. But I made this pull request to ML5, and it was one of the first times I'd really contributed to a repository of open source code. And this is Joey Klee. He's a professor at ITP. But he was just so nice. He was, he says, "Thanks so much. This is so wonderful. Thanks again." Like he's got emojis in there, and just small things like that. Even the language that someone's using in the way that they're responding to, contributing code online, just makes the whole environment feel really welcoming. And so these are all things that, to me, have really been important to my growth in this community. And this is really where I feel like this creative code community is really where I started out. And the reason I was able to grow was because, one, I love that I'm able to combine things like my love for coding as well as art and dance, but also all these people that are here are really excited about learning and curiosity and really want you to grow as well and will lift you up. And so those are things that when I see that happening, it really moves me in a way. And so I want you to start today and have a great time going to all the workshops, but thinking about what moves you, both in a sense of what moves you to make something, what are you excited about, what do you want to create with this new knowledge that you're going to learn today, but also thinking about a community, what to you is important and what moves you that you see other people doing and you want to imitate. And so I hope you all have a wonderful day today. And yeah, thanks for being here.